Welcome to Gulfstream today, and welcome to beautiful Gulfstream Park, Ron Nicoletti, along with Acacia Courtney. And we're about to kick off our special Memorial Day weekend, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're running today, of course. We are here for Friday, Saturday, 11 races tomorrow with the Gleaming Stakes, 1 mile and 1/2 on the turf. We're running Sunday, and we'll be right back here on Monday, Memorial Day. So make your plans to come and visit us. Good morning.
Yes.
Or good afternoon,
Good afternoon. Yes, after 12 now. But yeah, really exciting couple days coming up. And hopefully you make some time to spend your long weekend here with us and checking out some of the great racing action that we'll have.
Yeah, that stake on tomorrow is pretty nice because anytime you get 1.5 miles on the turf, it's a lot of fun. But more about that later on. We got a fast main track. We got a firm turf course. Want to show you our wagering menu this afternoon. And we're going to start it off as we do each and every day with our early pick 5 ticket, and Acacia has a ticket she will show you in just a little while. Then we race number 3 today, the Rainbow 6. No, we got the Super Rolling Super High 5 starts in race number 3 today. Almost forgot that because first 2 races have 6 horses, so it starts in race 3. The Super High 5, as you say, the Rainbow 6, race 3 carryover over that $100,000. We predicted that yesterday.
We did.
Only by $4, but it's going to go up, and it'll be really, they'll send it in now with that. And, of course, we're going to end the day when we have an 8-race card with a final pick 5 in the day, and I can't get anything out today. 50-cent wages. So you see the wages up there. It's going to be a lot of fun. $100,000 in the Rainbow 6. Special Memorial Day card. Get that all out of the way. And now let's start with race number 1. And this one, 7 furlongs, claim is 3 and up. Non-winners of 2 races in life were 3-year-olds. $30,000 down to $25,000. Jockey change on the 3, Miguel Vasquez. Now we can show them your first ticket of the afternoon.
Yes, one thing that does not change is that the early pick 5 starts in race number 1. And I went 4 deep here in this first race. And it seems like there's a lot of, a couple of betting favorites with 3 horses, particularly very early in the wagering with the number 5, Let's Be Frank, who's 8-5 right now on the board. 2 deep, 4 deep, 2. And I was able to find a single in the final leg of the early pick 5, and that's with Red Cat. So hopefully we make it to the last leg and see if the single comes through today for a $32 ticket.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice price, very affordable, $32. Now we'll talk about this first race. That's number 5, Let's Be Frank, stepping up to face winners today after becoming the only entrant in the opener to win at 7 furlongs. When he stalked early and he drew clear late, he defeated $40,000 maidens last time out. It's Angel Rodriguez. What I liked about this horse, besides being the only one that would win at 7/8 of a mile, was that the half-mile drill in 46-3. So coming into the race, it looks like ready to put another good performance up.
Absolutely, and this horse actually had a pair of half-mile drills in 46-3, one on May 17th and one on May 6th. So 2 drills coming in, looking really good, getting ready to run. The last race was on April 22nd, so had a little bit of a freshening now, moving over into the barn of Angel Rodriguez. And just as you said, had that win at the distance. I think that's really key, and a very impressive maiden winner last time out.
Well, the horse you used in second, I used in third, was the 3, Nuke, now listed as a gelding.
Yes, had 8 races so far. 5 of those have been in the money. 3 of them have been victories, the most recent of which was last time out on April 14th, won by nearly 7 lengths that day, so a very impressive victory. That was first off the claim, moving over into the barn of Oscar Gonzalez. Now a first-time gelding coming back and should be able to put up another good effort.
Well, I used the number 2 horse in second. That's Power Heater, stepping up, I believe, to the next logical level after returning from about an 11-month layoff to demolish a field. He really won this race. It was 12-5 maidens. He won that race by about 10.5 lengths. We've been mentioning the trainer, Francisco D'Angelo. He's had like 5 wins in the last 12 starts, so he's doing very well at the meeting. So I threw that one in second, and you did use that the number 1 horse on your ticket, and that's Baduk.
I did. I used the number 2 Power Heat in my early pick 5 ticket. I just thought you couldn't leave him off the multi-race wagering. And as you said, won by 10.5. And just a quick note of why I didn't use Power Heat on my top 3. Came back last time out to win by more than 10.5 lengths off an 11th month layoff. Now he's coming back in 13 days, which hopefully is a good sign that he's still fit and ready to come back. But he might need a little bit of a race after that big effort. So I did go with the number 1, Baduk, who's coming from the rail. First off the claim, moving over into the barn of Steve Plasaris. Emisel Jaramillo was going to climb aboard. Found a sloppy track last time out, but 2 back, broke his maiden very impressively by 4 lengths.
Well, let's be frank, up there at 8-5, but very, very early in the wagering. Let's go to race number 2, 6 furlongs. These are maiden claimers, 3 and up, $25,000. One scratch, one jockey change. Scratch the 3, meddling by. The jockey change comes on the 4 horse. The rider is Eddie Castro, and we both started our analysis in here with the number 4 Parkour.
Yes, this one had a really nice work coming in. A bullet, the fastest of 48 on May 21st, went 3 furlongs in 35 and 2. Another first-time gelding, 3 races so far, a nice second last time out.
Yeah, this is the one we mentioned that Eddie Castro will get the jockey change. Edgar Zayas in the spill a couple of days ago. He's going to be all right. You know, got a heel, has a broken rib, but he'll be back sooner than and rather than later. So we'll see how Edgar Zayas is going to do. We'll keep you updated when we find some stuff out. Horse that I used in second, you used in third, was Candy Jam. Third behind Parkour on the dirt back on May 11th. It's going back to the main track today. He rallied in that race. He finished second against $20,000 maidens. That was going 7.5 on the grass. Was just 7 days ago. So he's coming back, short turnaround, going back to the main track, proved he could run with Parkour. But there is a couple of questions about this, going from turf to dirt in such a short turnaround.
Yeah, those were the big question marks for me as well, and why I ended up going with the number 1 getaway car instead. One start so far, so very lightly raced horse, ran on April 2nd over at Tampa. It was a sloppy track, bumped at the start, had a bit of traffic trouble, but still managed to finish a nice second, beaten about 3.5 lengths that day, but first time start. Also has some really nice works. One at Tampa and then one right here at Gulfstream, working before having his debut at Gulfstream, stepping up a little bit slightly in class, but I thought looking in pretty good form coming in.
Well, I learned something new this morning, that the number 2 horse, Whip and Nay Nay, is named after a dance, which I did not know. And I'm not going to do it right now, but just something like this. We were watching it on, there you go, yeah. She's got it. Yeah, this is a gelded son of City Zip and a half-brother to a stakes winner called Successful Native, debuting for trainer Dave Casson. String of useful morning workouts showing on the source. He gets Lasix. Got jockey Martin Ramirez in the saddle. So I love the work that Dave Casson does, you know, and now that I know it's named after a dance, maybe we'll do it later on. I doubt it, but maybe we will. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll have the Rainbow Six ticket.
Yes.
Welcome back for race number 3. Lucky you didn't have, couldn't see that. We were both dancing off the area. Not a pretty sight as far as I'm concerned. She was doing okay. The third race, babies. Love it. Yes. 4.5 furlongs, maiden special weight, 2-year-olds. Couple of jockey changes in here on the 4. The rider is now Eduardo Nunez. And on the 7, Elvis Trujillo. And as I mentioned, we will show you my Rainbow Six ticket so you can check it out and maybe put yours together. 3 deep, 2, 4, 2, and 2, $38.40 for me this afternoon. And this third race, as I mentioned, 2-year-olds. Got to go a little deep in here. We saw a horse the other day, didn't really show that much in the morning. First time started workout-wise, went and broke the track record. So you never know with these 2-year-olds. That's what makes it so much fun. I started it off in here with the 2. Knockout Ranger is the son of U.S. Ranger, debuting for trainer Larry Pilati. Really solid workout pattern. He's got 4 workouts showing. He gets Lasix, MCL Jaramillo in the saddle. And I just thought off that. I knew I'd get a little bit of a price with this horse, so I threw this one on top of my ticket. You did go towards the outside with the number 6 horse in here.
I did. I went with the number 6 in his image. Mark Cassey, the trainer. Tyler Gaffleone is going to climb aboard, gets Lasix. Decent work tab, had a nice 4 furlong one, 2 back on May 11th, went 48 and 4 that day. But I think the way that Mark Cassey has had some of his horses coming in here, he's had some horses come off layoff, a couple of first-time starters. I like that Tyler Gaffleone is going to be aboard here today, and by Awesome, of course, who's kind of debuting pretty well for a sire. So I went with this one on the outside to see if he can do something well coming, more towards the outside post.
And you can see by our selections, we're only in agreement with one horse, and that's how wide open we think this race is. Number 1, Skinflint, is the son of Super Saver, debuting for for trainer Dane Kavinsky. String of workouts showing up at pace in Park the Barn, already with a couple of 2-year-old victories at the meeting. Eddie Castro handling that, always adventurous inside post. So inside post with these 2-year-olds, you got to get a clean break or they get swallowed up in there. But Skinflint actually is the morning line favorite in there. We both use, as we mentioned, the 3 in here, Snack Shack, and this is a filly against the boys.
Yeah, I use the number 1 Skinflint on my multi-race wagering, and that's where you can go a little bit deeper, as you were saying. Snack Shack, I liked the works coming in back on May 11th at 3 furlongs and 36 and 1. A filly against the boys as well, a nice Into Mischief filly, $130,000 daughter of Into Mischief.
Yeah, and this is Wesley Warden. He does this all the time, fillies against the boys, especially when they're 2-year-olds. So don't put much stock in it. Just wanted to point that out to you. And you also went all the way to the outside with the 7 in here.
I did. Kind of spread it around a little bit in this race. I went with the number 7, Equity. Elvis Trujillo is going to be aboard with Edgar Zayas still out. This one is out of a stakes-winning dam deposit only by High Cotton, a half to a stakes place horse. Catfight Cowgirl, who has the same connections trainer, Jose Pinchin, have been doing pretty well this meet.
So 7 runners in the field. We give you 5 different horses, so we'll see how that works out. Race number 4 this afternoon is 5.5 furlongs. It's a maiden claiming event. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward, and they run for a $10,000 tag. Jockey changing here on number 2, Make the Rider Jesus Rios. Scratch the 5, Search the Beach. And please note Alvaro Donis, now a 2-star apprentice now. He won his race the other day, and now will have a 7-pound advantage, not a 10.
Yes, and good to see him succeeding there. And it is late pick 5 time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So my late pick 5 ticket starting here in race number 4. There's a little bit of an overlap with an 8-race card. $48 here. Wasn't able to find a single in the second half, but I did go 2 deep in the first 2 legs, 4 deep in race 6, 3, and then rounded it out with 2 towards the end. So again, $48. Got a little bit more expensive in the second half of the day with a couple of those wide open races.
Well, you got your ticket here, so you started off with the number 8 horse who you have on top of your ticket. I think it's Popelka.
It is Popelka. 1 start so far for this horse. Debuted and showed some speed, running 6.5 furlongs at Gulfstream May 15th, so not too long ago, coming back pretty quickly. Ended up finishing 4th after dueling, showing the early speed, but I think that she really just needed that race under her belt. Louis Duco's been doing really well lately, and Christian Navarro is going to be in the saddle.
Well, we have our exacta flip-flop here. I went with the 2 Starlit Malibu. This one moved to the Jenna Antonucci Bonvia. The clay makes her first start since setting the pace and finishing 3rd. That was a 12.5 turf sprint. Here's the key. It was last August, so coming off a little bit of a layoff. She makes a 4-year-old debut, as we mentioned. Jesus Rios, that's one of the jockey changes in there. And this horse coming back in a logical spot, but there's always that concern with that type of, long layoff. But Jenna doing a fantastic job at the meeting, so we'll see how that horse runs in there. And you closed it out with the number 3 horse, Red Hot and Boom.
I did. Well, I thought that the first 2 horses were pretty obvious to me of who we're going to use. So I decided to go for one that's a little bit more of a little bit of a gamble. Monty Thomas, the trainer. This one coming over from Tampa, had 1 race here at Gulfstream on the turf last time. So moving back over to the dirt. Didn't seem to like the turf too much, but had some very solid races at Tampa. Also some really nice works at Tampa before coming over. And I think that moving back over to the main track and off of the turf and with a slight drop might do Red Hot and Boom a little bit of good.
I did use the number 5 Queen G's, making his career start number 14 after responding to a switch from the turf to the dirt with a 3rd place finish at this level and distance. So I just thought off that performance. Not enamored with this horse maybe to win it, but put it on the ticket. Gennady Dorochenko, Manuel Roseo, that's the trainer, and that's the jockey on the number 5, who's actually 4th choice in the morning line. And that's probably the right spot for this horse to be in.
I think so too.
Let's go to race number 5 this afternoon. 5 furlongs on the turf, special weight, 3-year-olds and upward. And we do have a jockey change on the 4, Make the Rider MCL Jaramillo. And please note that the number 6, Into the Future, is now listed as a gelding. And I know this was your single early on, Red Cat, in this particular race. So now I think we have a performance we want to show you on Red Cat. So let's go back and look at this Red Cat. You're going to see the head on the start. The number 4 horse that day just gets sandwiched here, one of these old ping pong plays. You'll see it start right here, just gets, crunch between a couple of horses, gets shuffled back in that race. And we're going to see this horse coming to the thing. He's got to steady a couple of times. You'll see him coming up. He just has one steady, and again, he steadies in there. And I thought he ran pretty well after that. He switches to the outside and runs pretty good in that race. Is that the reasoning you singled him? Or?
It is. And going off of that performance, especially cutting back, ran a mile. His first U.S. race, had been running over in Chile, took about 13 months off, came over with Chuck Simon, ran a mile, and just did absolutely no running. Cut back to the sprint on May 7th and had that second place finish after all of that traffic and trouble and steadying and all the things that he had to go through. Also a first-time gelding coming over here. He beat another horse in that race, I Go for Greatness, who's the number 2, who I like a lot at a little bit of a price. And I just think all of those things together give this horse a good chance of getting into the winner's circle.
Well, I went with a first-time starter in here. I thought it'd be a little cute, and that's Celestial Drama, who's the son of Big Drama, debuting for trainer Alfred McIntosh. A slew of solid Gulfstream Park West workout showing, which includes 4 bullet workouts, and not a lot of horses over there, but still a good workout pattern. The colt gets Lasix. He's got apprentice Chris McIntosh in the saddle. And I just thought off those performances, maybe this spot is ripe for a first-time starter. So put that one on the ticket. Red Cat, for all the reasons we just showed you and for the reasons you mentioned in there. Now we'll talk about that number 2 horse in here, and that is I Go for Forgiveness.
I Go for Greatness.
For Greatness, excuse me.
Yes. I guess maybe going for forgiveness, too.
Yeah.
I Go for Greatness really looks to be the speed to me. Stepping up in class just a little bit, moved over into the Angel Rodriguez barn for the first time last time out and finished 3rd, but beaten only by a length and a half. That was behind Red Cat. We just showed the video, and behind a horse named Gasolina. And this one, if you look back a couple of times, finished in some key races. Looks to be keeping pretty good form. Always right there in the action when running on the turf. The most disappointing races have been on the dirt or on the poly track, so the turf really looks to be the place that he has, and I think really that would be the controlling speed closer towards the rail.
Well, how about the fact that they shipped this horse up to Canada to run and then shipped him back here to run? So it looks like they like this horse running on our turf course here, and that was a pretty solid performance in defeat when returning from that trip. Got caught for second by aforementioned Red Cat. So the 3rd horse to use on here is the number 8 horse, and we're going to explain his name here.
Yes, Chip. It looks like it could be Chi Chip, but it's Chip, like you're talking about chips, and I guess it's named after some of the connections and the way that he says chips. And this should be exciting to see this horse run here as a first-time starter here. And I think that you mentioned a first-time starter and your choice there, so I went with a different first-time starter. And quick stat on trainer Ralph Nix in the past 5 years with first-time starters on the turf, 3 for 34, so just 9% win, but 26% in the money and a positive ROI of $2.14. And I think that's big because Ralph Nix's horses always seem to get some attention at the betting windows, and so to have a positive ROI like that, even though it's a relatively small sample. But this one just very consistent on the work tab, nothing too outstanding we've been seeing, but just very consistent. And the dam was a stakes winner on the turf as well, so some good turf pedigree.
And Chip is the morning line favorite, so the line maker was thinking that maybe that race is set up for a first-time starter. Race number 6 this afternoon, 7 1/2 furlongs on the turf. Claimers, fillies, and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Non-winners of 2 races in life or 3-year-olds. And we do have 2 scratches in here of the number 10 Untrue and the main track only number 11. And please note the jockey on the 8 horse here is Tyler Gaffleone. And we both started it off with the number 6, and that is Sweet Elegance.
Sweet Elegance came off last time and finished a very solid second off of a 13-month layoff. Michelle Nihei is the trainer, and a stat on Michelle Nihei in the past 5 years with horses second off the layoff and on the turf like this horse is doing. 10 for 61, 16% win, 33% in the money with a positive ROI of 231, so some pretty good numbers there. This horse broke her maiden in special weight company, then took that big layoff, came back last time against $30,000 claimers, and finished that solid second after showing some speed.
Yeah, I mean, we're both in agreement with that horse. I like that one in that spot. Number 5, She's Dynamite, moved to the Angel Rodriguez barn via the claim after leading every step of the way, and that race to defeat $25,000 maidens at this distance, and that was on the turf. The sophomore will be in the first flight today, playing catch me if you can, if not on the lead, right near the lead. So we'll see how number 5, She's Dynamite, runs in there. We both had some interest in the number 7, Venezuelan Beauty.
Yes, Venezuelan Beauty dropping in class a little bit. Found a sloppy track last time out that was taken off the turf, and I just didn't really do any running over there. Showed a little bit of early speed and then just ended up weakening. But now second start in the Marcial Navarro barn. That sloppy track start was the first start off the claim and moving over. But I think with the drop and actually getting back over to the turf where she feels most comfortable.
And I think, we talked about, I talked about the 5, She's Dynamite, being part of the pacing area. It looks like Venezuelan Beauty going to sit a really nice trip behind that speed. So if things get really dicey on the front end, might set up for a horse like number 7, Venezuelan Beauty. And you went to the inside with your third pick, and that's Vera's Finally.
Well, I had the same idea that you just mentioned with Venezuelan Beauty, that this looks like a horse that might be able to sit just behind the leaders, maybe settle in a little bit. She has the rail, which will be a little bit tough, so she's going to have to find a good spot to settle into. But won very impressively last time out by 2 3/4 lengths, and was claimed and moving over into the Steve Casares barn, and Emmy Sale Jaramillo is going to climb aboard.
Yeah, so a real fun race to bet here. We got a full field of 9 runners in there with a couple of scratches, so a fun race to bet, as I mentioned. Race number 7 this afternoon, 7 furlongs, an allowance optional claimer, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of 3 races, or an optional claiming price of $50,000. And we have 1 jockey change to report, and it comes on the number 3 horse. The rider will be Eddie Castro, and we both have the number 7 Celebrity Star on top of our tickets. And I know you wanted to go back and show this horse's last race, I believe it was.
Yes, well, the last race was on the turf, so I actually want to go 2 back and show her last start on the dirt, where she finished 3rd, technically by just a head. You'll see she's the number 3 there, and she had a very good trip along the rail, and it looked like she was going to be able and pull away, as she ended up being beaten in a really tight photo finish, so tight that Larry Colmus, track announcer, couldn't even call it. He just said, I don't know who it is. The number 2, who's winning for Sarah, came through in between horses. She ended up actually getting the win photo. She tried a few stakes after that, actually won next time out. So this horse, Celebrity Star, finished behind a next out winner, also finished ahead of a next out winner, Pollyanna, and behind that photo finish and just a really solid effort. I thought moving back over to her preferred surface, having some speed would be good.
Yeah, it's Celebrity Star. Going back to that last race on the turf, she really tracked or stalked swift fractions of 21 flat, 42 and 4 when finishing 5th, and I think that race sets her up perfectly this afternoon. That was a $62,500 optional claimer. I went with the number 5 Curlin's Princess. Well, we're almost in agreement here. We got our second and third horses flip-flop. This one is turning back. I'm talking about the 5 to 7/8 of a mile. She followed her second place finish against similar. That was going 3/4 of a mile. She comes back. She stalks the pace in the race. She finished 4th, and that was against $62,500 optional claimers going a mile. Looks like a really nice spot for this horse.
I agree. I think that that's the key. She's cutting back in distance slightly. This looks to be the right class level for her. And off of those past couple of efforts, and she finished ahead of the number 1 Fond of Sarah, 2 back in that 6 furlong race that you mentioned. And the number 1 Fond of Sarah is one that we both used as well. She looks to be the controlling speed from the rail.
Yeah, and she's really a consistent daughter with distinction, and a previous winner at this distance. Actually 4 races, a win, a second, a third. So she likes this 7 furlong distance, and that's one of the keys with with this distance of horses. Some like it, some don't. So we'll see how this runs. As you mentioned, finishing 3rd behind Curlin's Princess, going 6 furlongs back on April 14th, I believe it was. So
yes.
Fond of Sarah, the morning line favorite in there, and I think rightly so, off that consistency that she shows. Our 8th and final race on this beautiful Friday afternoon is a 7.5 furlong turf event. Maiden claimers, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. $35,000. Scratch the number 7, Abanakila, and note the jockey on the number 9 horse in here is Jesus Elios.
Yeah, the Havanagila scratch, so you get out of doing that dance. We did the whip and nay-nay. But yeah, we're kind of in agreement with our top 2, but I know Sassy Astray, the number 8, was one that you were really interested in, dropping in distance and class a little bit.
Yeah, I want to go back and show you this horse's performance back on April 28th. It was race number 2. And Sassy Astray, we're going into the stretch stretch run. You'll see here, just never really got a place to run. As the video starts here, you'll see just gets bogged down on the inside. Really never got that spot where to run. Had to keep, go back and ended up finishing fifth in there. And I just thought off that performance, still hasn't found that spot to run. He's got to just like waiting and waiting. Looks like if he gets through, she might win that race. So I just thought off that performance that Sassy Astray in this particular spot looked pretty good. As you see, she never really got to show that kick that she wanted to show through the stretch run.
Absolutely, and that's one of the tough parts is when a horse never really gets the opportunity to show what they've got. That one still had a couple of question marks for me, but I went instead with the number 6 Casting Couch, who looks to be one of the speed horses here in this race. Finished a very solid second last time out at the 7.5 furlongs after a string of 5 furlongs on the turf, and was beaten only by half a length by a horse named Simbola, who's running at an early race on the card. So it'll be interesting to see how Simbola comes back after that race and gets a big rider change to Eddie Castro today.
So Keisha's giving you some homework. You got to watch that early race and use
Keep your eyes open.
Use that as a handicapping guide this afternoon. How about the number 1 Kokomo? This one is stretching out to 7.5 furlongs. Had some trouble last time out at the 3/8 pole. Had a steady, finished third. It was her $12,500 career debut. I think she's worth the flyer at a little bit of a price in here. It wasn't a bad performance. Not a great big jump up in competition. Good barn. So maybe a horse like this, Ronnie Warren in the barn's been doing real well. Tyler Gaffleone in the saddle. Maybe that's one you throw somewhere on your super high 5 ticket.
Yeah, I could totally understand that. That one's a half to a stakes winner named Pony Colada. So definitely some good pedigree there. I ended up going with the number 4 Run Alex Run to give her another try. She had the muddy track taken off the turf last time out, and she went off as the favorite there, and she ended up being beaten by more than 17 lengths. I don't think that she liked the off track. If you go back, she ran 7.5 on the turf and was beaten only by 3/4 of a length behind Casting Couch and Simbola, the race I just mentioned.
Well, that's how we'll end the day on Friday with our 8th and final race, and it's going to be a fun weekend as we mentioned earlier on. Don't forget, we'll be running Monday. We've got stakes action tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun, but we got to get through today with a lot of fun and a lot of action. And Pete Aiello, our track announcer, is going to be up in just a couple of moments giving you all the updated scratches and changes you need to have a fun start to your Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, happy Friday.
What do I love about horse racing?